Radio.
Great afternoon, Mid-Michigan and beyond. You're listening to The Drive with Jack Ebling, the Spotlight Radio Network. I am here with my producer, Alex Heward. Alex just had a little incident outside here trying to park. Some people can't park in the lines.
Yes, that is very true.
Yeah, and creates a little problem. But nonetheless, Detroit Tigers, after an incredible win last night, Eric Haas with that grand slam home run, the first of his career in the ninth inning, and Tigers win it in extras, and they are off and running again today. 13-6 lead after 6 innings over the Minnesota Twins. And, you know, that last field goal, I think, gave them a touchdown advantage. So want to go out to our guest line. Very happy to welcome in Carlton Valentine, MSU basketball forward in the mid to late 1980s, two-time state champion coach at Lansing Sexton, terrific teacher of the game, and father of Drew and Denzel Valentine. V, how are you?
I'm doing great, Jack. How about you?
Good. We have Olympic basketball to talk about, and we have the NBA draft coming up tomorrow night. Cade Cunningham, from all reports, going to be a Detroit Piston. Troy Weaver rejecting all offers, including what I thought were a couple of pretty good ones. But he's determined. Looks like Cade Cunningham is going to be a Piston, along with Jeremy Grant and the 3 first-round draft picks. So 4 key acquisitions a year ago with Killian Hayes and Sadiq Bey and Isaiah Stewart. Maybe the Pistons are building something, B.
Well, they're definitely building and going in the right direction. I thought they started out great last year with picking up Killian Hayes. I mean, he's going to be a cornerstone guard for the franchise. He just needs to be given the time and the opportunity to go out. And Jerry Grant, I mean, what can you say about that guy? He went from, being a contributor to being an all-star.
Yeah.
And to being an Olympian. And he just happens to be from DeMatha High School, which is one of my favorite high schools. And then, hey, you talk about getting the number 1 overall pick. I mean, how many chances do you have to get the number 1 pick? And you can't go wrong with either of the 3 guys. But Cade Cunningham is definitely separating himself, I think, from the 3, being a 6'8" guard, forward. He can play multiple positions. He can score on all 3 levels. He's a pretty good defender. I hear a lot of comparisons to Luka Doncic with Cade Cunningham, but I think Cade Cunningham is Cade Cunningham. He's going to be his own man, and he'll have a chance to improve. So Detroit is looking up, and also my guy Troy Weaver, also a DC guy, went to Archbishop Carroll, one of my rival schools. Troy's doing a good job in Detroit, getting it done.
There's always a DeMatha connection here somewhere, Give him about 2 minutes, he'll get back around to it. I was going to ask you if you thought Cade Cunningham was a really good player, a great prospect, or a generational talent.
I think he's a great prospect.
Okay.
I think when you talk about generational talent, okay, we're talking about LeBron James.
Yep. LeBron, Kobe, that kind of player.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Somebody that's a generational talent.
Yeah.
Cade Cunningham is just a great to me, I've seen players like Cade Cunningham. There are players like him that are in the league. But when you talk about a generational guy, like I hadn't seen LeBron. I hadn't seen a 6'9" guy weighing 260, 270, running and jumping like a deer. I had never saw that before.
Right.
And I used to argue back and forth with Drew and Denzel about that. Generational guys, Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, for a freak of nature. I mean, he's so big and huge now, but Shaq used to be super athletic. He could run and jump. He could do a lot of different things. So, like in my lifetime of watching basketball, maybe I've seen 3 guys. When you talk about generational.
Let me give you another comparison, and I didn't come up with this. Someone hit me with it last night. And he was a great college player. He was a college player of the year, led the Big Ten in scoring and assists, and he was just a tremendous all-around player. But at the pro level, he was just a player. Evan Turner. You see any of that? A big guard. Evan was 6'7", did it all at Ohio State and didn't do as much at the next level.
Yeah, I see some Evan Turner in this game. I see some Evan Turner in this game. Evan Turner's a great player.
Yeah.
I've seen Evan Turner have some great pro games, but not as consistent as he was when he was at Ohio State.
Right. I don't think he was ever an NBA All-Star, was he?
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
Not that I know of, but I see. I saw Evan Turner give the Bulls 16 in one quarter.
Ooh.
But that's probably not saying much because the Bulls weren't very good. So
yeah.
Hey, I see a little bit of Evan Turner in his game. I see that. The one thing Cade Cunningham does that makes him special is that he can make everybody around him better. That's a characteristic that you usually hear about great players. I mean, I'm not going to get into the Olympic stuff, but that's what I think that they're missing.
Yeah.
A player that can make everyone else better. But I see that with Cade Cunningham.
Yeah. The U.S. Olympic team not missing much right now. I'm watching them play Iran, and 62-30. Team USA is winning, but again, that's to be expected. We'll talk more about that in a minute. I want to talk about the players after Cade, especially the next three. I understand Troy Weaver loves Jalen Green, not enough to pass Cade Cunningham for him, but really thinks he has a chance to be a special scorer in the league. Bradley Beal plus. Evan Mobley, who is often called Chris Bosh 2.0, and Jalen Suggs, a guy that I love, and I think he can do anything on a court. He can quarterback your team, he can be your featured scorer, and he can be a lockdown defender. And some people say that at a similar stage, he's very much like what Jason Kidd was. Maybe not the creative passer, but every bit the defender, and maybe a better shooter than Jason Kidd was at a similar stage. Jason Kidd became one of the all-time great three-point shooters, but didn't happen overnight. Those three players, how do you rank them? Green, Mobley, and Suggs.
Okay, so my rating's probably going to be different than everyone else's because it's based on what I've seen. I think Jalen Green it could be the overall number one. Okay. Very explosive athlete, very explosive, but he's 1B. Cade Cunningham 1A, Jalen Green 1B. I've seen him a lot. When I say explosive, that kid is explosive, and he can score he's like you said, he's like a Bradley Beal, but a much better athlete. So it means he can score.
Right.
Mid range, he shoots the three. He's catching alley-oop dunks, lobs, doing 360s. I mean, he can do through the legs. I mean, anything you want athletically that the guy can do. So I'll go Jalen Green 2.
Here's another one I heard, V. Someone said he's got Bradley Beal with some of the athleticism of Zach LaVine.
That's a real good one. That's a real good one. So pretty much like a Zach LaVine type athlete, which is, I don't know how many people seen Zach LaVine, but he's a freak of nature.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen a lot of them. But so I'll go Jalen Green 2, and then I'll go Jalen Suggs 3. And they say, why you go Suggs over Mobley? Because I like what I saw with Suggs all year. He was the same player consistently at the collegiate level against good talent. He was the same all the time, getting buckets, defending, making his teammates better, making the right pass, making the correct play.
Yeah.
And so I like Suggs at 3. What I saw of Evan Mobley was all potential. I mean, he shows flashes, and he's going to be good, but his motor does not run all the time. His motor it does not run at 10. His motor runs at about 6 or 7 at times. You can catch him coasting, but he's very skilled, that Chris Bosh comparison is good. At 7 foot, he can do a lot of different things. He can shoot the ball, rebound the ball, decent rim protection. He's what today's game is. If you got to be a 7 footer, you got to be able to do the things that he can do.
Right.
But once again, I'll take Suggs 3. Yeah, I got to go with Suggs 3. I just loved his game. I loved watching. You know, as much as I love watching Gonzaga play, I used to love Suggs because he would play defense.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys don't get down there. I mean, he used to make steals. He'd get out into the passing lanes, get deflections, man, and be out on the break scoring, making transition threes, doing everything.
Right.
So
there are people who think that he is the most fundamentally sound player of the group, and with the upside, don't be surprised if he doesn't become a many-time All-Star player. So who knows? I wanted to ask you about a couple of other players with state ties, V. Franz Wagner now is in just about everyone's top 10. I've seen him as high as 6. Most people have him 8 or 9 in this draft. And Aaron Henry, who I saw as high as 20 last week, but most people have him going somewhere in the second round, and there are some mock drafts that don't have him listed. So what do you make of those two players?
Wagner is a prototype NBA player. Is he 6'9"?
Yeah,
they got him listed at 6'9"?
Yeah.
So he's prototype of what the NBA is now. You know, if you're a 6'9" player, you got to be able to shoot, which he does really well.
Yeah.
He can put it on the floor.
Yeah.
Scored all 3 levels. I don't know how good a defender he is, especially at the next level, because there's so many explosive athletes that play in the NBA. I'm really not that much of a fan, and not because he went to Michigan. I'm just I think he's a really good prospect. I'm not that much of a fan of Wagner. I am a fan of Aaron Henry. And the reason is, if you can play for Coach Izzo for 3 years and display that toughness, that's going to translate. And I heard that he had some pretty good NBA workouts. A very, very tough kid. He's a left hand, but he shoots the right hand floater. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's going to be an NBA defender. You know what I mean? He's got that length at 6'6", 6'7", that makes him an NBA defender because he can guard a point guard.
Right.
He can guard the wing. He can guard the 2 guard, and now they got the stretch 4, so Henny can guard a stretch 4 now. So it makes him valuable because he can guard multiple positions. The thing I worry about Henny is you know, his offense isn't as consistent as it needs to be.
Right.
As a pro, and I think he needs to be in the right situation or the right system for him to go. But I like Aaron Henry as a pro prospect.
Let me give you the pluses and negatives that I've heard from NBA people. Let's start with the pluses. That he is a long 6'6", that the arms and things make him play a little taller than he is at 6'7", or even 6'7.5" normally. He can guard those guys. The versatility, the passing ability, those are all pluses for him. He has a little bit of a clutch gene. We've seen that at times at Michigan State. But some people think that he can be a little lackadaisical, that he doesn't always assert himself. And I've heard that he could develop the shot from a certain point, much as P.J. Tucker did, much as Bruce Bowen did with the Spurs. And he doesn't have to be able to score from everywhere. But in the NBA, if he can score from 3 places, he becomes very valuable. And then I heard some people say that he will get lost in the shuffle and he will be with a different team than the one that drafted him by his 3rd year, and he'll be out of the league by year 5. Your take on that?
Yeah. I mean, some of the things are accurate, but here's the thing about people making and judgments about players.
Right.
Is you never know until they get there.
Right.
You know, Draymond Green was a second-round pick, man.
That's right.
You know, who thought that Draymond Green would have, 3 NBA championships,
right.
all defensive team, a 2-time Olympian, and everything that's happened for him.
Yeah.
You never know until you get into the league.
Right.
Until you get into a certain situation, what's going to happen for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's different for each and every player. And to me, honestly, it's about fit.
Yeah.
If you can find a team that fits you,
right,
you're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you don't find the fit, then it's a struggle. And that's when you bounce around from team to team. Me and Zoe was just talking about this the other day I said, Zoe, you played with the Bulls for 5 years. I said, you was injured 1 year. I said, most guys that you play with on their third or fourth team.
Right.
I said,
right.
You know what I mean? Most guys from the 2016 draft class. You know, I can name a bunch. So you never know till you get there.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and look at that, V, because I want to know of the first-round picks, how many are with the team that drafted them. And that's a little project. I'll have that for you next week. But when you look at when guys are drafted, people say, well, he's not the number 1 pick. How good can he be? Or he's not the top 5 pick or top 10 pick. Kobe Bryant was the 13th pick. Giannis was the 15th pick. We talk about Draymond, but the MVP in the league, Nikola Jokic, he was picked 41. So you can be picked a little bit later, and as you say, if it's the right fit, and if there's something to your game that develops, you can be pretty good. I wanted to talk to you for a second about Giannis, and now all the things he's doing, the social media is really embracing this. I think he'd be a great commercial spokesperson for some company, especially if there's any kind of a Greek theme to it, or a freak theme to it. But I saw the graphic, in fact, we used it on Press Pass the other night, about where he is at age 26. Amazing. He's had 8 years in the league, starting at 18. And comparing him to Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Wilt Chamberlain, and Shaquille O'Neal. And at this point, none of those 4 players had an NBA championship by age 26. And the only one of them who had been a 2-time MVP at that point was LeBron. Michael had not, Shaq had not, and Wilt had not. So if you look at that, plus being an all-NBA defensive player, a defensive player of the year, pretty amazing career for a guy that nobody could identify him, much less spell his name when he was taken.
Yeah. I mean, what do you say? What do you say? Well, it took Michael Jordan 7 years, right?
Yeah.
Before he won a title.
Yeah.
Giannis, this is what I give. Alex Serratis is his age, and I remember talking to him when Zell was getting recruited. He was telling me about this kid named Giannis. He met with me at the Mac in the restaurant. He was, trying to recruit. He was working for an agency, and he was telling me about this kid named Giannis. And I'm like, man, get that. You talking about Giannis? Yeah, I just talked to Giannis last night, and he was discouraged, and I told him to stay with it. But it's incredible what my man did, and I give them a lot of credit for re-signing and not jumping to a super team.
Mm-hmm.
Because
yes.
Because now it's about Giannis. Now it's not about, hey, I'm LeBron. Now I got Chris Bosh and I got D Wade, or hey, I'm LeBron. I moved to LA. I pick up AD. No, it's about Giannis staying with the same team
mm-hmm.
and getting the job done. And I mean, look at his body. I know you show that split screen from 2013 to 2021.
Right.
That man, he dedicated his body, his mind, everything. He says all the right stuff too, Jack.
Right.
By the way, so I'm just so impressed with Giannis the person, probably more than Giannis the player.
47 pounds of muscle, V, from 195 to 242, and it's all in the right places. I want to ask you about Bryn Forbes now, celebrating his 28th birthday 3 days after the championship, and great shot of him with the trophy and the cigar. But now he has announced that he is going to be a free agent, and he'll be playing somewhere else next year. Where's the best fit for Bryn Forbes?
Golden State.
Ooh. Okay, I wouldn't have thought of that because it seems like they have shooters. They're going to get Clay back. They have Steph, but I guess you can never have enough of those guys, right? The way they play.
You can't, and you can't. To me, you can't. If you have another injury, who you got?
Yeah.
Who you got? You know what I mean? He's a great fit. He would play there, too. Like, he would play there. He would play between 20 and 26 minutes per game there.
Yeah.
But, I don't know if they have the cap room
right.
To sign him. You know, I thought that Bryn did a good job of opting out of that deal because he actually had another deal in place, but last year at free agency when it happened, and he waited too long and he went back and the deal was gone. So he took the deal with Milwaukee because it was the best deal for him at the time, and it gave him the player option to opt out in the second year.
Right.
So that was that was amazing. So I'm happy for Bryn, and he'll find the right place, or the right place is going to find him.
All right, last question for you, V. Got to ask you if you think that Team USA is going to win Olympics gold here. Probably needs 2 wins here to get out of pool play, although there's a point differential tiebreaker here that looks like will help the U.S. up 82-43 over Iran now. So it looks like that they might be able to advance to the medal round. Do they win the gold?
I don't see it. And as much as I'm a fan of USA basketball, and I'm an American citizen, you know, I love it.
Yeah.
I just don't see it. There are too many other teams that play together.
Right.
I had this conversation with a lot of different people.
Yeah.
And to me, international basketball and it's about team play. It's not about who's the best individual.
Right.
It's how well your team can play. And everybody's got good players now. Yeah. I mean, everybody's caught up to us. So how well does your team play? Do you get good ball reversal?
Right.
You know, how do you play defense? You know, do you got a rim protector? You know, I mean, it's I don't see it, Jack. If you see it, I don't see us winning gold.
Okay.
But we got to beat the Czech Republic first.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
On Saturday, and Czech Republic is pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, lose that game, and it's going to be close. It's going to be right on the cut line. V, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it, and we will talk with you next week. We will be right back. Going to talk with Tom Lang. He is here in studio. It's our Long Drive segment brought to you by Forest Acres and Golf MSU. We'll be right back.
Did you know you don't need any experience to apply at Dean Transportation? Because Dean provides free CDL training for their new bus drivers, and they will pay to train. Dean Transportation is hiring caring and dependable people as school bus drivers in Lansing and surrounding areas. Train for a rewarding career and safely transport children to and from school with Dean. Positions are currently available for the right candidates. Excellent driving history is required. You will earn $15.20 to $16.20 per hour, depending on location. Dean also offers their drivers a competitive benefits package, including health insurance, 401k, and paid time off, plus flexible scheduling and advancement opportunities with their growing company. Dean Transportation will train you to be a professional school bus driver for your community. Apply today. For more information and to apply, visit deantransportation.com/jobs. That's DEAN, transportation.com/jobs. Dean Transportation is an equal opportunity employer.
Welcome to Be the Referee with MHSCA Assistant Director Brent Rice.
After an uproar about officiating in a recent pro football game, an online article appeared with the headline, "Why in the world would anyone want to be a referee?" It's a good question. While everyone in the game, players, coaches, and officials, strive for perfection, only the officials are ultimately expected to reach that standard, and that's simply not fair. So why would anyone want to be a referee? Every referee will give you 3 little words: I love it. They love it because they know how important it is, no matter the level of play. And they want to be right all the time. And most of the time they are. And like a lot of other things in sports, the friendships and relationships built, the memories, they can't be beat. So we'll all encourage people to join us as referees, and for those of you who can't or won't, to stay in your lane when at the game.
Thanks, Brent. You can be a referee. Go online now to register at MHSAA.com. Be the Referee is a production of the MHSAA Network.
Jack Ebling here with Forest Acres course manager Brian Harris. Brian, it's just about time for some new product. You've got them all here at Acres and terrific club fitting.
Yeah, we've got some of the best club fitting in the state of Michigan. We utilize the TrackMan technology with all the major brands. So if you're looking for clubs for yourself or that special person in your life, then we're the place to go.
Lots of different manufacturers.
Lots of different ones from all the major brands, Titleist, Callaway, Ping, and more. So please come see us for your club fitting today.
Stop out at Forest Acres. Take care of your golf game.
This is Dr. John Wyckoff. Are you sick and tired of being tired and sick? Maybe you need to take the right supplements. Save 20% on all of our quality supplements during the Summer Supplement Extravaganza sale. Save on all of our supplements to help improve energy, reduce brain fog, improve sleep, normalize GI functions, and stabilize mood. Save 20% on all of our great supplements both in the East Lansing office or online at wycoffwellness.com. Improve your health and get on the path to wellness today with Wyckoff Wellness.
Jack Ebling here with my good friend Matt Sloan at Graph-A-Vocamus. Matt, you got some new product, including electric vehicles.
Yeah, we got a lot of new product coming, Jack. On the Chevy side, we've got the 2022 Bolt EV and all-new Bolt EUV, which is just redesigned from the ground up. We're really excited about that. That's going to be hitting a lot any day now. Next door at Nissan, we've got the all-new redesigned Pathfinder from the ground up. I got to sit in it recently. Drop dead gorgeous. And then we have the 2022 Frontier as well, which is completely redesigned. So fantastic product coming. We're really excited.
Stop by and see Matt and company here at Graph-A-Vocamus. They're making friends.
I'm Tony Cuthbert with your Spotlight Sports Update. The Tigers snapped a 4-game losing streak with a 6-5 win over the Twins in 11 innings last night. Eric Haas smashed a grand slam to tie the game in the 9th inning, and Miguel Cabrera had an RBI single in the 11th to put Detroit ahead for good. Willie Peralta gets the start for the Tigers against Twins lefty Jay Happ in this afternoon's rubber match. The Lions begin training camp today with a practice at their Allen Park facility. General Manager Brad Holmes and head coach Dan Campbell are in place for their first season with the team, while Jared Goff takes over under center for Matthew Stafford. Practice will be open to the public this year, beginning with a session for season ticket holders on Sunday. And Damian Lillard had 21 points, including 7 3-pointers, and Devin Booker had 16 as Team USA beat Iran 120-66. The U.S. will play the Czech Republic on Saturday.
You're listening to The Drive with Jack Ebling.
You want to win, don't you? Well, I think I'd really rather try to beat him honestly.
SpotlightMediaStudios.com.
Welcome back. It is The Drive with Jack, the Spotlight Radio Network, and it is time for The Long Drive, our weekly golf segment brought to you by Forest Acres and Golf MSU. And happy to have with us in studio, as we have each week, spring and summer, Tom Lang from the Michigan Golf Journal. And if you haven't seen that publication, if you haven't seen it online, and you're a golfer, feel sorry for you, you're missing out. Tom, how are you?
Doing great. How about you?
How was the trip up from Battle Creek and your new digs?
Pretty good, but I actually came from Metro Detroit today.
Oh, did you?
So
okay.
I'm making a big circle of the state of Michigan today.
Okay. All right, good. And for those who are wondering, why did Lang relocate? It has to do with your wife's job, right? She's principal.
She got an assistant principal's position at Battle Creek Lakeview, nice, where our really strong Michigan State golfer Andrew Walker graduated and won Mr. Golf 3 times in Michigan.
Wow. And that is he the only one who's done that?
To my knowledge, he is.
Okay. All right. But could be someone who's working on it right now, right?
There is. We talked a little bit a couple of weeks ago about PJ Maybank from Sheboygan.
Yeah.
Who homeschools basically. He does online at Sheboygan now so he can be part of the golf team. But he travels a lot, and he's in Florida a lot in the winter, so.
Well, we have a lot to talk about, and what were you doing in Detroit today?
Selling my Livonia house, closing.
Okay. So it wasn't golf related.
Today was final cleanup day, and then we're on our way back to Battle Creek to our new place. But Yeah, I'll be back in the Detroit area quite frequently for golf events. So
we are done with the 4 majors. Still got Ryder Cup business in terms of PGA. And what kind of reaction did you get to this edition of the Rocket Mortgage Classic?
Reaction from media or the fans? Or
from overall, how do you think it went compared to the other years?
I think it went really well. There were fewer fans this year than the inaugural year in 2019, but that's understandable because of the COVID protocols. They were purposefully trying to keep the fan head count down.
Right.
But it was still quite a boisterous crowd, quite a lot of bodies out there. People were having a really good time for sure. Not our next guest. And we'll talk about this. He missed the cut just by 1 stroke, and I'm sure he felt really bad. But
Brian Stewart's made up for it, though.
He has.
The last couple of weeks.
Done really well the last 3 events on the PGA Tour, and we're going to talk to him about that today.
We absolutely are. And we have the All-City Championship at Forest Acres. And
early, I think, first week of August.
Right?
Yep.
No truth to the rumor that you're making a comeback?
I'm just too busy this year. This summer, too.
Well,
I couldn't fit it in my schedule.
That means that somebody else has a chance to win, ladies and gentlemen, in that flight. So
I surrender it all to some other golfer.
I believe we have Brian Stewart with us after some terrific finishes the last few weeks on tour. Do you want to do the intro?
Absolutely. For our listeners who might not be overly familiar with Brian's name, Brian was born and raised in Jackson, Michigan, right on the edge of the border. So it actually sent him to Napoleon High School, a small Class C school there. He won the state championship as a high schooler. He then went to Oakland U in Metro Detroit and just progressively got better every year. And Brian is now on the PGA Tour for about 8 or 9 years in a row. Chugging along.
Brian, welcome back and congratulations on this recent success.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
And we talk about top 10 finishes, and you've had a couple of them in the last 3 weeks. I would bet that a lot of the players on tour go a whole season and never have a top 10.
Yeah, it's been a nice stretch of golf. It's been a lot, very enjoyable, fun to kind of be in the mix for a few weeks in a row, so it's been good.
Hey, Brian, we were just talking about the Rocket and how that turned out, and you were disappointed. I know you missed the cut by about 1 stroke, and I just wondered, when it comes to an event like the Rocket, after Michigan had such a long drought with no PGA Tour events, and now it's back, as a Michigander, do you in any way feel like you're hosting your fellow PGA Tour competitors in a way, even though you're not like a Rocket Mortgage ambassador, but just the fact that you're from Michigan and guys know that, and maybe does that put any more pressure on you, or do you actually relish that your friends and family are around?
Yeah, I think definitely, especially the first year I kind of felt that, everybody was excited to come back to Michigan and play, and, always asking me about the course and where to stay and that kind of thing. So, yeah, it's been nice to have that for the past 3 years now, and like you said, it definitely feels like the hometown. Definitely the premier event for me on the schedule.
Brian, when you're playing as well as you have recently, what is clicking for you? What determines whether you're going to have a great week?
Good question. I wish I knew, really. I think it just comes down to me mostly putting. If I putt well, then I'm going to play pretty good. I'm a pretty consistent player, tee to green. If my irons are on that week and I'm putting well, then I think I'm going to play well. So I think those are kind of the 2 keys for me.
Hey, Brian, we were just recapping. I don't know if you were on the air yet, what you've done the last 3 PGA Tour events. After the Rocket was over, you went out to Iowa to the John Deere and you got a T8. Then you went to the Barbasol and you led the first round with, I believe, an 8 under, but you still finished top 20. And then this last weekend, you were at the 3M Open, and you were T6 with about 4 other golfers, just a few strokes off of the win by Cameron Champ. Is there a way you can describe to our listeners the really fine line between doing well in a tour event, especially 3 in a row, and not doing well other weeks? Is it just the putting, like you mentioned, or other factors?
Yeah, you're definitely right. It's such a fine line. You know, everybody who tees it up every week can basically win, and everybody can definitely finish top 10 that week. It just kind of comes down to, you know, a few key shots, maybe, if, you know, kind of that thing. But mostly it's putting. Everybody plays well tee to green, but it's the guys who make the putts that are gonna play well. I've talked about it a lot with my caddy the last couple weeks. It feels like we haven't really done much different the last 3 weeks to play well than we have the past, you know, few months where we weren't quite getting the finishes we wanted. But yeah, there's definitely a fine line.
Brian, are you a tweaker on the course? If your putts aren't dropping, are you one to change something a little bit, or consider a different grip, or get a new putter, or blame the manufacturer, or what's the deal when the putts aren't falling?
Yeah, I think the more you're out there, the more you realize that it's mostly your fault, right? I think I used to be kind of a tweaker, you know, change putters quite a bit. I actually did change putters the week of Hartford about 5 weeks ago, so I think that may have kind of given me a little boost of confidence to try something new, but usually not much of a tinker, I guess. I try to keep things simple. I haven't changed my grip in a while. It's just kind of it just comes down to reading the putts and, you know, hitting them the right pace.
I want to switch subjects a little bit to Ryder Cup. It's coming up, obviously, in Wisconsin, USA hosting. Now, if Steve Stricker, captain, called me and said, hey, I need Brian Stewart's cell phone number because I need Brian's advice on this captain's pick list that I've got in front of me.
I thought you were going to say that you want to invite Brian to be on the team.
The question's not over. The question's not completed here.
Okay.
So if Steve were to ask you, and you can include yourself, which 3 or 4 golfers maybe, whether it's history, tradition, hot streak right now, would you say, hey, Steve, I think you should pick these guys as a captain's pick, and here's why?
You know, that's a tough question. Like you said, you can kind of go with a few different criteria there, where it's, you know, guys who have played in a few, guys who are playing well now. I don't know. I haven't looked at. I don't really know who's qualified and who hasn't. So it's hard for me to say that he should pick this person. But there's some new guys who I think have, you know, played really well for the past couple years, and I think they should deserve a shot. So I would say I think the game's kind of trending more to the younger guys. So I think that he should pick the younger guys.
I'm wondering, Brian, is there any kind of subtle lobbying that goes on here? The guys, when they see Steve Stricker, you know, they buy him a drink, or they, you know, tell him how nice he looks, or is there any of that, or do guys just stay completely away from it and let their scores tell the story?
I'm not sure if that's happening, but I think he's, you know, a smart enough guy to kind of look past that and kind of stick to his guns. And, you know, I feel like he's someone who's pretty, you know, down to earth and pretty. He's going to pick who he thinks, and I think that's. I don't think he's going to be influenced by it too much. Midwest guy, Big Ten guy. Yeah, right? So, exactly. Yeah,
a great pick for captain for his home state. Actually,
totally.
That's where he's from.
Yeah.
Staying on the subject just a little bit, you mentioned that maybe lean toward the younger guys now. Is that opinion of yours mostly based on how younger guys are playing right now, or do you think maybe a little bit of their youth, they won't understand the pressure and won't get freaked out, or some other factors?
You know, I think a little bit of everything. You know, the young guys now, they come out here, they're so impressive. They're like you said, they're fearless. They just, it doesn't matter. I think, you know, when I first came out on tour and you were a young guy and it was your, first or second year, you weren't thought of as to be, someone to contend in, tournaments. And now it's like as soon as they get out here, they're ready to win. So it's such a interesting change to the game, and I think that's just where the game's headed. It's getting younger and younger every year, and the guys are better and better. So I think that's just where it's at.
Brian, I want to ask you about the personal aspects of being on tour. And for some guys whose families are based in one spot, and maybe they see their kids once every 2 weeks or whatever the case may be. Maybe they're out on the road for a month at a stretch, as opposed to players who try to have their family with them from time to time. And how difficult is it? You're basically your own traveling corporation.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a looked over part of the uniqueness of, playing the PGA Tour and traveling, 30 weeks a year is you don't kind of see those behind the things where you miss out on family events and you miss seeing your, friends, and you miss seeing your mom and dad and that kind of thing. So it can be tough at times. And, I think it's just something you have to kind of hopefully not miss out on too much. And like you said, I think more guys are starting to, especially in the summer when kids are out of school, I think, people's families kind of come out a few more times, and I think guys enjoy that for sure. And it's just part of the deal, and you just have to get used to it. I think, technology has made that easier. Guys can FaceTime home and see their kids every day. I think that's probably a lot different than what it used to be.
I wanted to go back for a second to putting. You said you're putting much better nowadays, and obviously good putting leads to good scoring, as we all know. For you, is putting as much or more about you're reading the green correctly and you're looking at every blade of grass and which way the grain is going, or is it more about the physical stroke of the club or something else?
Yeah, I think mostly I don't think it's the physical. Everybody's got a pretty good putting stroke, right? I think it's just I think a lot of it is confidence. If you feel like, you're going to make the putt, you have a way better chance of making it. I think for me, when I'm in a stretch where I feel like I'm putting well, I just kind of seem to see the line really clearly. And it's just, if you're standing over a 10 or 15 footer and you say to yourself, I know this is a, right edge putt or a cup out on the left putt, and you're confident in that, you're going to make a more confident stroke, and you're just going to put a better roll on the ball. And I think they go in better when you're confident. So like Bobby Jones said, it's the 6 inches between your ears. I think you're right about that, yes.
It's the most important measurement in golf, right? That's
right,
6
definitely.
inches. Jack Ebling here with Tom Lang from Michigan Golf Journal, and it is our Long Drive segment brought to you by Forest Acres and Golf MSU. And our guest this week is Brian Stuard from Jackson, and a tremendous run here, PGA Tour with a T8 and a T6. But I want to talk about something else that Tom mentioned. Tom, what's your best career round? What's the lowest you've ever shot?
78.
Okay. You've never been 8 under par.
But I'm normally in the high 80s, really low 90s, normally.
All right. Well, that's certainly ahead of the curve, and that's pretty respectable play. But, Brian, I cannot imagine what it would be like to be 8 under par. I can't even fathom that. When you're having one of those kinds of days and the hole looks really big, what's happening and how difficult is it to stay with that, to channel it, and to replicate it?
I think it's tough to describe what that feeling is like. I guess you're in the zone somewhat. It's hard to describe what the zone is, I guess, but I think you just when you're playing well and you're able to make a few birdies, and like you said, it's hard to keep going sometimes, for sure. So that's the biggest problem with golf is everybody can birdie one hole, but to do it over and over again is tough. I think you just have to kind of try to block out what you've done before and move on to the next hole. But it's easier when it's tough to describe. I wish I knew, because then it would be easier to do, right?
Right.
But I think you just have to try to take it one shot at a time and just keep going. And I think I've learned to be better at that as the years I've been out here on the PGA Tour has gone on, because every week is you got to make 20 birdies to have a chance. So you just kind of learn that you just have to keep going, and I think that's how it happens sometimes.
Somebody told me that is a once-a-year day that you have. You get that feeling of biorhythms or whatever, and I said, well, I've been playing golf for 60 years, so they owe me 60 of those days. I'll take them in a big string, back-to-back, and then I'm going to get all the people who've laughed at me over the years and take them out. So
there you go.
Yeah. Brian, last question, Tom. Do you have anything you want to finish up with here?
Just real quick, just going back to your days at the smallish Napoleon High School, and you're probably like the kids who are on the basketball free throw line with 3 seconds left, and you're imagining yourself in the NBA. Did you look ahead at this time in your career and picture yourself on tour?
I don't. You always thought that when I started playing, you always kind of dream, this putt to win the Masters or that kind of thing, like you said. But I don't really think I had visions of PGA Tour until I got into college. So I think I was a bit of a late starter. I didn't really start playing until I was in 9th grade. So I just kind of did it to, enjoy being outside and something to do in the fall in high school. And it was just something that I kind of fell into, and it's worked out great.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate it, and we'll be watching you on tour, and hope you can keep up with these top 10s.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Brian Stuard. Sounds confident. Sounds relaxed.
Brian's really mellow all the time.
Yeah.
Whether he's doing well or not doing as well as he wants, he's pretty focused and to himself.
Yeah. Well, that's what you want for a golfer, right? I mean, one of the beauties of the game, Tom, is I say golf and wrestling are the ultimate individual sports, and maybe wrestling a little more than golf because you can't complain about the lies.
That's true, and there's not environmental factors or anything like that.
That's right. It's just you and the guy that is laying on top of you.
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully the other way around.
You would hope. You would hope. All right, let's go right back out to our guest line. Very happy to welcome back Brian Harris. He is the head professional and course manager at Forest Acres Golf Courses and Golf MSU. How you doing, Brian?
Good afternoon, guys. I'm great. How are you?
Brian Stuard and Brian Harris. This is an all-Brian show today. Spelling your names differently, but that's okay. I want to talk to you a little bit about the Olympics and watching basketball right now. The U.S. 50-point lead over Iran, 116-66, a little less than 10 seconds to go in the game. But Olympic golf, I think a lot of people were wondering what would happen if you had Jon Rahm and Bryson DeChambeau going down the stretch for the gold medal, and we're not going to see either one.
Yeah, unfortunately, with the pandemic still going on, they got caught by that. But I think it's great that the Olympics, 5 years ago, brought golf back, and it provides an opportunity for a lot of these players from different countries to be seen and to potentially have a breakthrough week to where they can jumpstart their career if it was lagging at all. So it's wonderful to see all the countries represented, both men and women, and I enjoyed watching the last one, so I'm sure I'll enjoy this one as well.
How much do you think it means to these players, Brian? Obviously, they want to win an Open championship. They want to win the Masters. Where does a gold medal in the Olympics fit into that?
I think it's one of the greatest things that an athlete could win, regardless of their sport. They're not doing this for money, which in most weeks they are, at least on the golf side. And I think it's really important. I mean, we saw a couple years ago, Ricky Fowler was tattooing the Olympic rings on his arm. Like, it meant that much that he, stamped his body with the Olympic rings. So I think it's important to them this is one of the ways that they can truly show support for their country and represent their country, and it's just great to have it back.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not sure yet. I'm not 100% on board that we need golf in the Olympics as far as exposure in other countries. There's been so much worldwide coverage. Augusta, the Masters alone, they really focus on bringing in Asian media and other groups from around the world to promote golf, and they've been doing that for almost 20 years now. Brian, it sounds like you are really heavily interested in the Olympics. Do you see that transition maybe where maybe that is maybe going to become more important than winning majors?
Yeah, it could. Again, it's one of those things that there's not many times you get to represent your country in golf, at least, right? So the Ryder Cup is one, but you're not playing the rest of the world. I mean, you're playing Europe, or you're playing, in the President's Cup. You're doing that. So I've always thought the Olympics were important. I love watching gymnastics and swimming are the two sports. I never competed in any of those, but I think those are fantastic to watch, especially the gymnasts, because they're all such great athletes. Yeah, I think it'll be important. I think more players will get into it. It's, this year I think we would have seen more top players had it not been, a COVID pandemic time. But I think they'll start to appreciate it more and more as they are able to have more events in the coming, 12 to 16 years.
We always ask you for picks before the major championship, and now with absolutely no preparation, we're going to ask you to give us the gold medal winner.
Oh, Abraham Ancer from Mexico.
Ooh.
Wow, really?
He's going to be competing for Mexico, really good. I've always liked him. I think I've picked him a couple other times. Yeah. But I think he's a great player, and I think he's got a good chance.
Tom, I love the way that Brian always finds somebody just a little bit off the Vegas leaderboard, right, and comes out with a name. Just that took him like a half a second.
Did you pick Colin for the British Open?
No, I didn't. I forget who I picked, but I did terrible. Lee Westwood and Ian Poulter, I think, were my couple guys, so I didn't do very good this year.
Yeah. Hey, I want to talk quickly about the All-City Championship coming back to Acres, and we've been talking about that a little bit. We had Nate on last week talking about it, but in terms of the field and what to expect, people who watch this and say this is basically the Open Championship of Greater Lansing, what do you see? What kind of tournament are we going to have, and do you have some diabolical pin placements in mind?
Yeah, I've got a few pin placements to answer that one first that I'll have for the final round on Sunday, but right now they're still accepting signups. I haven't seen the actual list of who's participating yet. I'll know more on Monday. But we're looking to have about 160 people play. Is kind of what we're looking at. So signups go through next Tuesday. So hopefully, all those big names will show up again this year like they do in the past. The weather looks fantastic. We're preparing the golf course and making sure the rough's not too rough. And again, I select all the tees and pins and locations. So I'm looking forward to doing that early next week.
Hey, Brian, have you been over recently to the new practice facility that the men's and women's team are having built for them? How's the grass growing in?
Yeah, I actually go over there every day. So it's looking really good. It's starting to shape up, and we're getting a lot of turf over there now. So our maintenance crew's maintaining it and just kind of going through the growing process right now of fertilizing and mowing and watering. So it's looking very nice.
Saw Casey Luban Monday at North Barrington, Illinois, there playing in the Scramble, the Football Legends Classic, and his team with Rick Lash and Rick Audis, they shot a 50. I don't think you find too many scores lower than that in a Scramble, so that was tremendous to win it. Thanks so much for joining us, Brian. We'll talk with you and Acres representatives again next week. We'll be right back. Thanks, Tom.
Hello, Hello, this is Mary Stucco with Education Unfiltered. Education is so important, and it doesn't mean you have to have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or a PhD. It's really about what is best for you and what you need to take, whether it's a certificate or studying something in the trades or you need an associate's degree to further develop yourself. There's a great opening for people at all ages and at all stages of life who are looking to go back into education and redevelop themselves. Check out my latest podcast with Davenport University and Lansing Community College as they join forces to host an online event to start or finish your degree. Like and subscribe to Spotlight Podcast on our YouTube and Facebook pages and watch all my episodes, or you can listen in on your favorite podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Play by simply searching Education Unfiltered. This is Mary Stucco. See you soon with more conversation on Education Unfiltered.
When it's your moment, that once-in-a-lifetime moment, you don't just want jewelry. You can get that anywhere. You want a memory that will go down in history, your moment. We're Medawar, crafted with exquisite style, quality, and love, so your present will be stunning every time you look at it, every time someone notices it, and they will notice. We've devoted our lives to this art, and we're proud to share it with you. The gift you want to give is here.
Medawar Jewelers in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, Portage, and Brighton.
Live across the Great Lakes State, you're connected to Michigan's most engaging and influential radio and television program, Michigan's Big Show, starring Michael Patrick Shields.
Great to be with you, Michael Patrick. You're the show I would want to be on. Forget those other ones.
Michael Patrick, it's always a pleasure to be on the air with the King of the Airwaves. Thanks for having me on again.
That's a very good question.
Those are all great questions. Good morning.
Thank you. Michigan's Michael Patrick Shields.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Taylor. The White House is calling the bipartisan infrastructure agreement a once-in-a-generation investment. The White House said the deal includes $550 billion in funding for public transit, passenger rail, clean drinking water, and broadband internet. Gunmaker Remington is offering $33 million to settle a lawsuit filed by families of Sandy Hook Elementary School victims. Sarah Bartlett has the story.
The lawsuit claims Remington's marketing of AR-15s contributed to the 2012 massacre that killed 20 kids and 6 adults. The offers by the bankrupt gunmaker were filed a day after a Connecticut Supreme Court judge ruling that denied Remington's request to dismiss the lawsuit. The settlement would pay 9 families well over $3 million each.
The United States of America has maintained its lead over the other countries in overall medals during the Tokyo Games. The U.S. has 31 overall medals ahead of China with 27 and Japan with 22. Lisa Taylor, NBC News Radio.
Michael Patrick Shields here with Matt Rhodes at Dusty's Cellar. 2020's gone. There's some things I won't miss, but there sure are some things here I want to hold on to.
Yeah, as unusual as 2020 was, there'll be one constant for 2021, and that our 6 for 60 wine club is going strong and will continue to do so for the upcoming year.
I know you added some options, the Pinot Grigio, the Rosé, Parducci, and all the reds and whites and mixed. Going to do the same this year?
Absolutely. We'll carry on with all the variations of the club we offered this past year, and we'll be looking for more creative new club ideas as the year goes on.
I do like those top shelf, top 100 selections. You have over 100 wines offered at $15 or less, but they're all highly rated by a wine publication. Will you keep that up?
Absolutely. 100 wines, red, white, rosé, dry, sweet, whatever your taste. We'll have a wine for you at $15 or less, a highly rated wine, a great value.
Cheers, and you can join me in the Dusty's Cellar 6 for 60 Wine Club. Just pop on dustycellar.com and have a look, or go on into the store on Grand River in Okemos, just a little east of the Meridian Mall.
Cheers, Michael.
I'm Tony Cuthbert with your Spotlight Sports Update. The Tigers snapped a 4-game losing streak with a 6-5 win over the Twins in 11 innings last night. Eric Haas smashed a grand slam to tie the game in the 9th inning, and Miguel Cabrera had an RBI single in the 11th to put Detroit ahead for good. Willie Peralta gets the start for the Tigers against Twins lefty Jay Happ in this afternoon's rubber match. The Lions begin training camp today with a practice at their Allen Park facility. General Manager Brad Holmes and head coach Dan Campbell are in place for their first season with the team, while Jared Goff takes over under center for Matthew Stafford. Practice will be open to the public this year, beginning with a session for season ticket holders on Sunday. And Damian Lillard had 21 points, including 7 3-pointers, and Devin Booker had 16 as Team USA beat Iran 120-66. The U.S. will play the Czech Republic on Saturday.
This is it right here.
Combining a team of reporters, columnists, and commentators.
Don't you ever talk about me!
Are you serious? Jack Ebling has brought thought-provoking discussion.
What are you doing? That's a damn coaching mistake.
Opinion.
The customer is the one who decides when the future gets here.
Oh, no! The ship is on fire!
You have to check the report.
Are you kidding me?
That game was fixed.
And overall infotainment.
I'll take Jim Harbaugh.
What has he done?
Crazy Cooter coming at you.
Quiet, please. In exactly 15 seconds, we'll be on the air.
Thanks, big fella.
Don't you ever come back here again!
No arguments. Those are called ass tunes.
So buckle up.
You talking to me?
Whoa!
It's time for The Drive with Jack Ebling.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Welcome back to The Drive with Jack, the Spotlight Radio Network. All of our Wednesday shows brought to you by Graf of Okemos, Graf Chevrolet and Graf Nissan, side by side on West Grand River. 107 years in the automobile business. Stop and see Matt, Mark, and Greg. They'll take great care of you as they have on all 7 of my leases and purchases. Alex Heward, seeing something today I don't think I have ever seen before, and I've seen close to 1,000 Major League Baseball games in person. Tigers are beating the Twins 17-12. But the amazing part of this is every player on the Tigers has an RBI, and none of them have a home run.
Wow.
17 runs, no homers.
Yeah, that one right there, that's the kicker. Yeah, that doesn't happen often.
That is a lot of base hits and a lot of runners flying around the bases. All right. Let's go back out to our guest line, and very happy to welcome in one of my favorite guys in Lansing, someone who should be in the Greater Lansing Area Sports Hall of Fame. We're working on it. Desmond Ferguson, Mr. Moneyball. He was a tremendous player here in the area at Lansing Sexton, and then collegiately in Missouri and Detroit, and then in the NBA, and got his name from Kevin Garnett, his Moneyball, because when he shot it, it was money. And now back in the area doing tremendous things with Moneyball Sportswear and name, image, and likeness, and some names that you know from the area, and he has deals with them. Des, how are you? Des, are you with us?
Moneyball is in the building,
man.
There
you go. I knew I was going to get that one. Oh, that is the greeting. Well, belated happy birthday. A lot of people have that on their calendar every year. It's not quite a national holiday, but nonetheless, we wanted to recognize it. And we know Moneyball's doing great things and got a presence all across the state and beyond. And equipping teams, a lot of teams getting their gear from Moneyball, plus individuals, and you can always tell with that cool Moneyball logo, and people like to flaunt that a little bit.
Yep. I don't know if it's, I don't think it's my phone, but I keep getting cut out a little bit. I also want to make sure that we got a good connection.
How is that, Alex? It sounds good here.
Yeah, it sounds fine on our end, but
okay.
if it continues, let me know and we'll reconnect.
Okay.
Yeah, no, the connection is good. It just
no sooner said than cut out.
Yeah,
right?
I guess so.
Okay.
I'll give Des a call back. And
Try him again. Yeah. I guess the U.S. Olympic team responded to criticism. That's always a good thing for athletes. And when you do that, and you can win by 60 points, I guess it's a sign that you have taken that criticism to heart. But for a lot of people, these games are different because two of the marquee names, individual competition, Simone Biles, the greatest gymnast of all time, and Naomi Osaka, the flag bearer for the host country of Japan, out of the games. Biles out because she said she wanted to concentrate on her mental health issues and not feeling it. And in a sport like that, you're not feeling it. You're a few seconds away from a serious accident. and Naomi Osaka, who's had her own demons on the golf course and with the media, losing in early round, so first round. That's a big surprise. But I think we have Des back with us. Des, we're talking.
I'm here.
Okay, we're talking about Moneyball and the growth of your business. And is it what you envisioned when you started out, or has it surpassed even your own expectations?
A little bit on the above, and at the same time, still not where we want to be. So,
yeah,
it's obviously been a grind and a roller coaster, but it's been great. And I enjoy doing it every single day.
Alex, I think one of the things we always find with successful individuals is they're not satisfied with success. They don't sit back and say, well, I made it. They've always got another project in mind or something that they want to do better. And that sounds like that's where Desmond Ferguson is right now. Name, image, and likeness, less than a month old, but Moneyball, you were ready with this. How much thought had you given in advance to what you wanted to do strategically?
A lot of thoughts, a lot of planning. Sat down with the team, and I had been somewhat prepared. I think that July 1st hit quite a few people, by surprise. I think we all knew it was going to come sooner or later, but not when it did, and I don't think everybody was prepared. Fortunately, we were able to link up with a company called Athletic. One of the young men, Ashton Keys, he's a graduate of Michigan State, and another guy out of Cleveland. But they had been planning this for like 2 years, so they knew this day was coming. So being able to partner up with them and have a lot of conversation really helped us get ahead of the game. And what they are, they're basically a platform where athletes and businesses meet, and they kind of marry the two, through all the information they have on name, image, and likeness. So that really helped us, and then we just decided, plan of attack, what athletes and, how we're going to go after the athletes strategically.
Before we talk about the individuals who have signed deals with Moneyball, I want to talk about the kind of people that you want to associate with, because the three that I know all have a certain look. They carry themselves a certain way. And in terms of that and the Moneyball image, which you have carefully cultivated, how important is that?
Very important. When you talk about the sportswear industry, we kind of see ourselves as underdogs. So we go after those athletes that have that same, hungerness about them,
right?
As far as being an underdog and climbing their way to the top, and those that represent themselves, correct, not just on the court or on the field, but rather be in the classroom in their day-to-day lives. So, and then those that know somewhat about Moneyball as well. So, be able to partner with those student athletes that are familiar with the brand and what we've done over the years, helps both of us.
Did you decide, hey, I want a person for each sport? How did you decide how far you wanted to go with this? How many sports you wanted to have involved? And are you still expanding? Now, we're talking about football, men's and women's basketball. Would Moneyball partner with other sports?
Yeah, we want to cover all sports, and to some people we're kind of known as a basketball company, but our first two athletes that we released out there were football and track. So we have softball, we have like I already said, football and track. So we have various sports, softball. We have various sports, and we did that. We wanted to do that and not just do basketball only. So that's kind of how we attacked that.
All right. You want to run down the list of clients or partners that you have working with Moneyball, starting now with, I guess, in football, Andrell Anthony from East Lansing and the University of Michigan.
Yeah, Andrell was the first guy that we announced. It was unique because, Andrell being from Lansing, I've known him and his father since he was a young kid, and he's worn Moneyball over the years, and actually got a chance to coach him with the first little league team. He might have been in third, fourth grade at the time. So, just seeing him grow and have the success as a student athlete, and I think he'll go on to have great things. So, he was our first guy being a hometown kid. We want to always represent where we're from. That doesn't mean we won't continue to grow throughout the state and throughout the country. But we wanted to make that announcement with a hometown kid, and we did that with Andrell, and I know he'll have a successful college career. And then we came back with another local kid in Kentrey Patterson, who's he runs track. Originally went to Illinois State, I believe, but at Arizona State, he just came back from the Olympic trials a few weeks ago. So, and he's a kid that anytime he come home during Christmas break, whatever, he's coming to the Moneyball store and purchasing gear, and he's familiar with it. So we wanted to partner with him and tell him thank you for what he's done, but even support him in what he about to do. So him. Then we had next was Marion Jackson. He was originally from Cleveland, but originally he's at Toledo, and he transferred to Arizona State basketball. And then we came back with Ben, who's a wrestler at the University of Virginia from Lansing area, but went to high school in Detroit. And then we partnered with a young lady, Elizabeth Mason, out of Florida State. She was in the I think she was in the World Series or the softball championships down there, so she's pretty good.
Yeah,
and then
softball World Series.
Yep. We were able to get J.D. Davidson, who was a big one. He's a 5-star athlete coming out of high school. Will be a point guard at Alabama this year, and might probably be a one-and-done guy, potential lottery pick next year. And then, so that covered Alabama. Then we got Alabama football and Chris Braswell, who's a defensive end. Then we came back with want to cover the west side of the state of Michigan, and Khalil Pimpleton, who's at Central Michigan, a great receiver. Then Shetty Omar, soccer player. He's playing with Lansing Common right now, but he goes to school in Illinois. And then we who else? Morgan Stewart, Baylor University. She runs track down there, has a great social media presence. DeVale Washington at West Virginia football. And then yesterday we announced the two MSU players, and Nia Clouden, leading scorer for MSU, and then 2021 Michigan Mr. Basketball, Pierre Brooks II. So those that we announced so far. We still got a few more this week, one today and a couple more tomorrow and Friday that we announced, and then that pretty much be it for us.
Yeah, and with Pierre, not only are you getting a Mr. Basketball, you're getting a guy who over a 4-point GPA, so someone at your level of intelligence does. Definitely. Yep, fresh off the state championship. His high school team has won Moneyball last 4 or 5 years. So once again, a kid that's familiar with what we do and what we stand for. But yeah, he's definitely a bright young man, and his parents have done a great job of raising him. So he'll definitely be not only a great player, but a great man. Now, the athletes who are playing for their college teams are wearing the gear that the colleges have negotiated contracts for while they are in competition. But off the field or off the court, they're sporting the Moneyball stuff. And I'm wondering, with a sport, Des, like golf, where, these guys are basically walking billboards with hats and the shirts. If golf would be a prime area of sponsorship for you, if you could find the right outstanding young player, maybe a collegiate player or someone like a James Pyatt, someone who's going to be on tour, because your logo is so distinctive, people are going to ask about it. And, I've had people look at it and say, is that some derivation of the Batman logo or what? What is that? But it's so distinctive that if you can get that out there while someone is actually competing, that's a win-win. Definitely. Yeah, we don't have a golfer yet, but that would be a great sport to get some recognition in. All right. I want to switch gears here. We got about 3 minutes left, Des, and I want to ask you about the NBA, and we got the draft coming up. And you were a big guard. You had size going for you, and not as big as Cade Cunningham. But in terms of what he could bring to the Pistons, how exciting is that, and is he the guy? Yeah, I know there's been talks of, potential trades, this and that. But he's just a young man with great size that can do it all. So it's tough to pass up anything like that. And there's a lot of pressure on the Pistons. They don't want a Darko moment. You know what I'm saying? So I think
I think that'll be the best pick for him. But yeah, I mean, especially from an offensive standpoint, there's nothing that he can't do, and he has length and can be a really good defender as well. So I think it's can't miss it. There are obviously a couple other good prospects in Mobley and Green that I think will be great players too. But I think Cade is the way to go at number one.
What about Jalen Suggs of Gonzaga? Here's so many different opinions of him, and people say, watch, he might be the best of them all by the time he's done.
Yeah, I don't think his ceiling is as high as the other ones, but he reminds me of what's the guy watching that played at Portland Trailblazers that got injury? Brandon Roy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
His game reminds me of Brandon Roy, which Brandon Roy was an all-star and really great. So I think he'll be good, but I think a few of those guys will be perennial all-stars.
All right, Giannis now made 17 of 19 free throws in that final game, and 17 of 18 before he missed the last one. Does that mean that they don't mess with his stroke, or if you're his coach, are you still trying to get him to clean it up a little bit before next season?
Yeah, there's such thing as lucky games, and I was lucky for him from free throw line to shoot that great. I mean, you don't shoot bad as he does consistently, and then it's just one of those games. He was obviously locked in, focused, and had a great rhythm from the free throw line. But I think that's still a huge area of improvement for him. But I mean, to be able to win the NBA championship, shoot that percentage from the free throw line, which he has over the season, but then to lock in that one game and score 50 points as well, that's huge. So hopefully that be some momentum for him to continue to shoot better from the free throw line.
Last thing for you, Des. Giannis had back-to-back games where he had to leave early in the first quarter, and everyone said, well, there it is. That's the knee. It's flared up. And turns out he had to go to the bathroom and said, hey, I have to tinkle. How often does that kind of thing happen? And have you ever had that happen where you say, I'm not going to leave a puddle on the court. I got to get out of here?
Yeah, well, we hope it was a puddle. It could have been something else. He didn't want nothing running down his leg, But no, I mean, I've seen some different players that just get the game time and may throw up and get out of their system, had to go to the bathroom. So everybody is different in how their body reacts to certain situations. But no telling that's going to be something that's consistent for them or not.
Des, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. I hope to get out and see you soon. And we all miss the Moneyball Pro-Am this year, but sometimes it's important to take a break. And you plan to bring that back?
Oh yeah, definitely. With COVID last year and this year, obviously things started opening up at the end, but it didn't look like it was going to be that early. But we'll be back next year for sure.
Thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Desmond Ferguson, Moneyball Sportswear. We're going to have Tim May with us in just a minute. Longtime sports writer for the Columbus Dispatch, and now with Letterman Row covering the Ohio State Buckeyes. And then at about 5:40, you're going to hear from Gary Harpel. And if that name sounds familiar, you're either a Michigan State hockey fan going back to the early years with Ron Mason, or you've been following what's going on with the funding of Mon Ice Arena and the fact that Gary Harpel, a major donor and one of the guys who's making this renovation possible. All right, Alex, we have Tim May with us, a longtime writer for Columbus Dispatch and now Letterman Row, following all things Ohio State. And after another Big Ten kickoff meetings, Buckeyes prohibitive favorites to repeat as Big Ten champions. Tim, how are you?
Pretty good, mister. Is it Ebling or Ebling?
Depends. Depends if I owe you money. It's Ebling, but I've been called worse. So
that's my line. Yeah. That is my line. Somebody recognized me in public. They go, "Hey, aren't you?" And I go, "Wait a minute. Do I owe you money?" I'm doing great, man, and I don't even know what you asked me, but I'm doing great. I'll answer that.
Well, I want to talk about Ohio State football, but first I want to talk about collegiate realignment, and now Oklahoma and Texas joining the SEC, and I don't know what that means for the Big 12 or 9 or 10 or however many teams they have left, 7 probably or 8. But in terms of this shuffle and slide, does this mean hold on to your seat because the Big 10 is not going to be 14 very long?
I have no idea. At this point, I think the Big Ten has pretty good symmetry right now. Everybody still poo-poos them adding Maryland and Rutgers.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is at this point. They've been in the league for a while, so they are part of the Big Ten. But because not everybody in the Big Ten was an original part of the Big Ten. But I digress. But who you got to go out?
Yeah, we know about that.
If you can't get Notre Dame, for example, Notre Dame would probably be the last apple hanging on that tree.
Yeah.
That expansion harvest. I'm trying to get a good analogy there.
Yeah.
You're going to be robbing some conference somewhere, and some people think, if Notre Dame's going anywhere, they'll just go ahead and jump into the ACC. I don't know if that's true or not. What their thinking is. It's done it's actually been good for their other sports, but football wants to maintain its independence for whatever reason. I'm not sure, but no, I don't think you just jump and add a couple of teams now just for the hell of it. Who are you going to add? Are you going to talk Missouri out of being in the SEC? If I'm Missouri, I'm wondering what the hell's going on.
Yeah. I heard Missouri was interested in the Big Ten before and didn't get an invitation.
Correct.
And so now, does that change? Kansas, you've got a great basketball program, but now could be on a serious probation. Iowa State, good in football now, but that could change as soon as Matt Campbell leaves. They're not historically strong. And you wonder in terms of television sets what Lawrence, Kansas, and Ames, Iowa brings you.
Here's the thing, Jack, let me interrupt you.
Yeah.
The point, you're throwing names out there. Nobody you look at right now, with the exception of Notre Dame, has anywhere close to the panache, and I don't even know if that's the proper term. I know they probably wouldn't use that in Texas, of Texas and Oklahoma from the standpoint of traditional, as they said in Step Brothers, remember they introduced their new company, Prestige Worldwide or Worldwide Prestige?
Yeah.
But not are going to have that, you've already missed that boat. And, there were, you remember the talk several years ago about possibly making a play for Texas.
Yeah.
When Texas was being courted by, or courting, depending on who you talk to, the Pac-12. And so, that train has come and gone.
Yeah.
It hadn't left the station. It's come and gone. And so where do you go now? I don't think there is an easy answer to that. Do you add 2 AAU schools, as they call them?
Right.
How much does that even mean anymore when you get right down to it?
To the presidents, apparently it means a lot. I was told again that these 2 additions will be AAU schools, so if you're Oklahoma State or whatever, don't even bother applying.
Yeah.
And you wonder with some of the other names we have heard, Tim, whether they're from the East, or I saw one yesterday that the Big Ten might consider a raid of the Pac-12 if it could get USC. If it could get USC, that might help get Notre Dame because of that rivalry, or trying to get USC and UCLA, or USC and Oregon.
But how? I mean, I know jets go fast. They don't really go any faster than they did 30 years ago, really.
Yeah.
And I know that those rental buses and stuff they use for the other sports, a lot of the other sports, even if you get in Montana, you're not going to go much faster than 80. You follow my drift.
Yeah.
Or West Texas. I mean, seriously, are you going to just create a football conference and then an AYOs, or a football and basketball conference, and the AYOs, all you other sports, just sit pretty? I mean, what are you looking at there? I mean, it'd be cool.
Yeah.
But that'd be more like a National Football League kind of like conference that would go from Rutgers to USC or Oregon.
Yeah.
That's really, is that really where we're headed? I mean, golly,
It's a long way from Pasadena to Piscataway.
Not anybody except for like a Tim May would attempt to drive like that. But but the bottom line is, if that's where you're going, as as Ryan Day said, 5 years from now, what are we going to be looking at,
Yeah.
It's going to be something, college football, we're not going to really recognize a lot of, if you compare it to like 2 years ago, with the transfer portal, with the name, image, and likeness, and with the conference orogeny, O-R-O-G-E-N-Y, which is tectonic plates moving, et cetera. You're not going to recognize it compared to even this year, I do believe. And, and even the SEC expansion, depending on who you're listening to, may not happen for another 2 or 3 years, depending on if the Big 12 just says, hey, get lost, Texas and Oklahoma, even though their TV contract runs through the 24-25 season or school year.
Mm-hmm.
So, we have no idea, but golly, I mean, that would be crazy. I say that, Hawaii, wherever they go, they're traveling just as far as what I just pointed out.
Right.
So what's the difference, right?
Right. Yeah. Hawaii might be in the Big East before we're done. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe you fly out. Maybe what you do is you fly out and you play in 2 consecutive weeks. One year you play at USC and at Oregon, and then the next 2 consecutive weeks next year you play Ohio State or somebody hosts them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The 2 schools that go out host them. So
yeah, you're only missing 2 weeks of classes. Who cares? That's I can hear that right now.
Dude, everybody spent most of their school year last year online. That is really passé. That is really behind the times that you got to be sitting in a classroom with 350 of your closest friends.
Yeah, you're right. Hey, I want to talk about one of the other wild ideas we had heard, and maybe it's not so wild, that the SEC isn't done going from 14 to 16 and wants to go to 20 and wants to go ahead and add Clemson and Florida State and Michigan and Ohio State. Can you see any scenario at all where Michigan and Ohio State would leave the Big Ten?
Here's the thing, you never say never. But why? Why would you do that? I mean, just think about it. I mean, how big of a pie can they really come up with financially?
Yeah.
I mean, right now, still the Big Ten still shares, I think, bigger shares than the SEC now.
Yes.
It's going to change when the SEC gets its next contract, probably, but you're going to be dividing it 16 ways.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Number 2, as I said on my podcast this week, I had Bill Bender on from the Sporting News. We were debating this thing just like you are, and I go, why, if you're a shark, would you jump into a pool that's got 6 or 8 more sharks in it? And that's going to cut down the amount of food available. I mean, somebody's not going to be happy 5 or 6 years from now when they have still a 500 record, and they've made this move just for, like I said, worldwide prestige. I mean, I think some of this stuff has not been as thought out as they think it is. And I truly, it has to be proven to me that this isn't the case. I truly believe ESPN or something is behind this, is urging this along in some form or fashion from a that godforsaken word inventory standpoint for their football broadcast, et cetera. I remember hearing an athletic director use that word about 10 or 15 years ago when it came to the Big Ten and football contracts. Now, the word inventory just kind of hit me sideways, but everybody likes to watch it on TV. But, hey, do you want to watch, do all these ADs and presidents want half-empty stadiums because people are watching it on television because they can't afford to go to the games? I mean, where are we going with all this,
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, the rich are going to get richer probably in this, and the poor are going to get poorer or more poor.
Yeah, the difference between the haves and the have-nots is going to grow, and you're going to have very few have-somes. You're going to have have-it-alls and have-nots.
And I just touched on another aspect of it, too. If you go to a 30-team super conference, even a 20-team super conference, like I said, these teams that are used to winning every week or almost every week, that probably won't be the case.
Yeah.
And so now, how happy are your alums and everybody else going to be, number one? Number 2, and let's say they go to a 12-team playoff. The thing is, this should have been revealed before they came up with this idea for a 12-team college football playoff beginning possibly as early as a couple, 3 years from now. I think that's going to get put on the back burner, if in fact there isn't a massive jump to the SEC.
Yeah, I can see that. You talked about sharks, and Ohio State is definitely the biggest shark in the Big Ten pool, but some people have said when it comes to football now, Michigan not only is not a shark, but the M stands for minnow. I don't know if that is true or not, but I'm thinking if Michigan can't win the Big Ten East, can't get to Indianapolis, what's it going to do in the SEC?
Dude, how many Big 12 championships has Texas won in the last whatever?
Yeah, well, it's getting beat by
that was a rhetorical
TCU
question.
is killing it in terms of championships.
Yeah, that was a rhetorical question, meaning that doesn't really have anything to do with what we're talking about. We're talking about big-time name programs. That's if, in fact, there's any truth to that. And I haven't really heard that there's any truth to that, but, who knows, I saw the SEC expansion coming. Texas A&M sure as hell didn't.
No.
I mean, they've got to feel like, wait a minute, I thought we were in Fight Club here. Nobody talks about Fight Club with the people in Fight Club, but clearly they do, and they did an end run around Texas A&M, which I'm sure feels betrayed in all of this.
Yeah,
because they were trying to get away from their fellow Texans. So, but my point is, Michigan is still a name brand. Yeah, its name brand has taken a lot of hits, but it was pretty damn good in basketball last year, for example.
Yeah.
And it's still we're still sitting there at Big Ten Media Days the other day. Let me put it this way: there were more people around Jim Harbaugh on his media.
Yeah.
There's still a lot around Tom Allen.
Yeah, well, the reason there were so many around Jim Harbaugh, Tim, is people say it's the last time they'd ever see him.
Yeah, but you know what? But there were also, to be honest with you, there were also a lot of people around Mel Tucker, for that matter.
Yeah.
So, but you're right. I mean, people are going to ask that question, and I'm just hemming and hawing because I don't really have a true answer from the except for you go and pick the plums that have been the biggest and the brightest on those trees for as long as they have been, and that's definitely Texas and Oklahoma in the southwest area of our great nation, and Michigan and Ohio State. You have to feel slighted as Penn State.
Yeah, right. Nobody talks about that, but hey, that's they're putting 100+ in there every week. They get a home game.
Well, not just that. They turn on TV sets for the most part.
Yeah,
and they have a great, rich tradition. So who knows, man? Who knows where we're going? As Ryan Day said, we got to look back 5 years from now and go, oh, what's that crater down there? Well, that's major college football.
Yeah. We may have seen the best of it. Be careful what you wish for, as they say.
Correct.
And, Alex,
Ohio
I think
State and Alabama.
We can say now, Alex, that Kevin Warren can spare the phone call. He doesn't have to call Tim May and ask for an easy answer because there is none.
Yeah, but Ohio State and Alabama played for the national championship last year. You can't get more tradition-rich than those two schools.
They just did that for you.
And they had a 27% drop in their viewership during a COVID pandemic.
Yeah,
so,
how does that figure?
I'm not sure where college football is headed. I think, Exxon Valdez, man, was cruising right along, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, Titanic was, too, at one point.
Yes.
Hey, before we let you go, I was speculating the other day on who the next coach will be. Maybe he hasn't been hired yet. Next Big Ten coach that will have a win over Ohio State in football is?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think Ohio State's going to be favored in every game it plays this year.
Yeah, for the foreseeable future.
It's also looking back over the last several years, Purdue and Iowa, are the only teams that have gotten it done. Penn State a long time ago.
Yeah.
Dude, I have no idea. I mean, I wouldn't pick, Ohio State is going to be slightly vulnerable early. Look out for that game at Minnesota on September the 2nd, Thursday night. Ohio State's going to be starting a brand-new quarterback, but it has a otherwise loaded offense.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't get this team early, I don't see it. I mean, there's a lot of talent on this team, Jack. More talent across the board than I've ever seen in Ohio State. I'm talking about depth-wise. I'm not talking about there are guys that are better than Orlando Pace, or Eddie George or whomever.
Yeah.
But just from a depth standpoint, it is loaded.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You may have to ask me that question again next year.
Yeah, I was going to say in 3 years.
Dude, they've won 4 straight Big Ten titles under 2 head coaches, 2-2.
Yeah.
It's never been better than it is right now at Ohio State. I mean, I know the 70s were pretty damn good until about 76, 77. But it's never been this consistently good at the top of its game, elite. And, you don't have to win the national championship to be considered among the elite.
Right. Well, I told a guy that I don't know how long Ryan Day is going to stay at Ohio State. Maybe he'll be there another 30 years. Who knows? But
real quick before you go. See, that's what's going to be interesting is to see in this Wild West that's coming for college football. It's already here to a certain extent.
Yeah.
How tough is it going to be to ride Hurd as a head coach anymore? And what the heck? I mean, Urban Meyer really had, in my opinion, I've had him on my podcast, many times, including about a month ago.
Yeah.
And I don't think he was interested in coming back to this new world of college football when all this stuff is changing, and it's crazy. I mean,
we see the same thing in college football with a lot of the legendary coaches leaving or getting ready to. Tim, thanks so much for joining us. Hey, we got to fly, but we'll get you back on. Maybe we'll get you on before the season starts, and you can think about that and come up with the next Big Ten coach to beat the Buckeyes.
Yeah, maybe you can send me a knife or fork to go with this spoon you gave me. Appreciate it.
Tim May from Letterman Row. All right. We will be back in just a moment, and we're going to bring in Gary Harpel, former Michigan State hockey defenseman, very successful out in Silicon Valley and now living in Lake Tahoe, and a major benefactor for Michigan State hockey and the renovation, the redesign. It's more than a refurbishment. It's a reconstruction of Munn Ice Arena. We'll be right back.
Call it a sense of purpose, a higher calling, essential to our children's future. We call it our passion at Dean Transportation. We are a family, hardworking folks who for more than 60 years have connected children to learning, schools to our communities, and you to a better career, pioneering the best in health and safety standards because it's simply what we do, because safe student transportation has always been essential. Dean is now hiring community-focused individuals for immediate school bus driver, attendant, and mechanic positions for local schools throughout mid-Michigan. To learn more, visit jobs@dean.com/Lansing. Experienced applicants will receive up to a $750 sign-on bonus. For individuals with no prior experience, Dean will pay you to train. Positions may also allow you to start and stop work from local parking locations or your home throughout mid-Michigan. If you're looking to make the community a better place, we'll put you in the driver's seat. Join the Dean Transportation family today at jobs@dean.com/Lansing.
Welcome to Be the Referee with veteran MHSAA official Sam Davis.
One of the long-term strategies in the game of football is deception. It has a lot of other names and most often goes these days by the name of trickery. Catching an opponent off guard can break a game wide open, but catching the officiating crew off guard is something you don't want to have happen, or else your big play may be blown dead inadvertently. That's why during the pregame meeting the officiating crew has with each head coach, one of the questions that will be asked is, Coach, do you have any trick plays that we should be watching for? And coaches, who are usually tight-lipped about a lot of their strategies, will be very open and describe in detail anything fancy that's in the playbook for that game. This type of communication gets coaches and officials on the same page and ensures that when trickery comes visiting, only the opponents are surprised.
Thanks, Sam. You can be a referee. Go online now to MHSAA.com to register. Be the Referee is a production of the MHSAA Network.
Thinking of a new air conditioning unit for your home? Hi, Peggy Doty with Doty Mechanical. A new Carrier high-efficiency AC unit will lower your energy usage and increase your home comfort. Current Carrier Cool Cash offers and available utility rebates mean your savings have never been better.
Call Doty Mechanical today at 327-7777 or visit us at dotymechanical.com for your free estimate. For heating and cooling, the names to know, Doty Mechanical and Carrier. Turn to the experts.
Jack Ebling here with Forest Acres course manager Brian Harris. Brian, it's just about time for some new product. You've got them all here at Acres and terrific club fitting.
Yeah, we've got some of the best club fitting in the state of Michigan. We utilize the TrackMan technology with all the major brands. So if you're looking for clubs for yourself or that special person in your life, then we're the place to go.
Lots of different manufacturers.
Lots of different ones from all the major brands, Titleist, Callaway, Ping, and more. So please come see us for your club fitting today.
Stop out at Forest Acres. Take care of your golf game. Jack Epling here with my good friend Matt Sloan at Graph of Okemos. Matt, you got some new product, including electric vehicles.
Yeah, we got a lot of new product coming, Jack. On the Chevy side, we've got the 2022 Bolt EV and all-new Bolt EUV, which is just redesigned from the ground up. We're really excited about that. That's going to be hitting a lot any day now. Next door at Nissan, we've got the all-new redesigned Pathfinder from the ground up. I got to sit in it recently, drop dead gorgeous. And then we have the 2022 Frontier as well, which is completely redesigned. So fantastic product coming, and we're really excited.
Stop by and see Matt and company here at Graph of Okemos. They're making friends.
I'm Tony Cuthbert with your Spotlight Sports Update. The Tigers snapped a 4-game losing streak with a 6-5 win over the Twins in 11 innings last night. Eric Haas smashed a grand slam to tie the game in the 9th inning, and Miguel Cabrera had an RBI single in the 11th to put Detroit ahead for good. Willie Peralta gets the start for the Tigers against Twins lefty Jay Happ in this afternoon's rubber match. The Lions begin training camp today with a practice at their Allen Park facility. General Manager Brad Holmes and head coach Dan Campbell are in place for their first season with the team, while Jared Goff takes over under center for Matthew Stafford. Practice will be open to the public this year, beginning with a session for season ticket holders on Sunday. And Damian Lillard had 21 points, including 7 3-pointers, and Devin Booker had 16 as Team USA beat Iran 120-66. The U.S. will play the Czech Republic on Saturday.
You're listening to The Drive with Jack Epling.
Just trying to grind through camp here. Good fundamentals, build our conditioning, just keep getting better every day.
SpotlightMediaStudios.com.
Welcome back to The Drive with Jack, Spotlight Radio Network. Jack Epling here with my producer, Alex Heward. All of our Wednesday shows brought to you by Graph of Okemos, 107 years in the automobile business. Alex, before we go out to our guest line, the sportscast you heard did not have the update on the Tigers game today, and might be the first time that a team has had 7 fewer home runs than the opponent and won the game by 3 runs.
Yeah, that's pretty remarkable.
Twins had 7 homers, scored 14 runs, and lost. The Tigers had 17 runs and no home runs. All right. Michigan State University and a hockey program had a home run. With a donation, $1.5 million, and that money may be close or maybe even a little more than that, from Gary Harpel and his wife Joanne. Gary is a former Michigan State defenseman, was actually recruited by Amo Bassoni, and then played 3 years for Ron Mason, and part of the turnaround, the glory years of Michigan State hockey. Now speaking to us from Lake Tahoe. Gary, how are you?
I'm well, Jack. Thank you for having me.
Well, a pleasure to talk with you, and we had a chance to chat the other day, but the gift that you have provided for the renovation, the restoration of Munn Arena, the idea is that this place is again going to be one of the premier facilities in the country, as it was when you were playing.
Well, Jack, when I got to Michigan State in 1978, Munn was 4 years from its groundbreaking, and it was just an amazing facility to play in.
Yeah.
But time has gone on, and many of the programs in the big time programs have had a lot of investment in their facilities, and it was time for Munn to really step into kind of that elite premier status where it belongs. And this investment that not just me, but many people have made, including Coach Izzo, is going to do just that. And the hope is that, with this facility and with the great coach that we have and the great tradition, that it's not going to be long before we bring a national championship back to Munn.
Gary, when we talk about development and fundraising for universities and athletic fundraising here in particular, it's said that the key is, first of all, identifying the right prospects who are able to make a major gift and then building relationships. And that seems to be the case again, maybe without going into all of the details. Can you tell us a little bit about how a seven-figure gift like yours comes to be?
Well, first of all, Jack, I will say that I used to think that hockey was the greatest team sport. I now believe fundraising is the greatest team sport. It is just amazing how many people are involved. And the relationships that I've built with, the Spartan Fund, guys like Doran McGaw and Chuck Sleeper, over time, have brought me back into Michigan State. And, I've been really blessed to be able to reconnect with an old buddy of mine, Frank Finn, who I played with, as well as others. So it's been a real blessing for me. And you're right, it is a relationship game. And just it takes some time. I know initially when Joanne and I were thinking of donating, we were certainly thinking of a much smaller number. But as time went on and we saw the need and our relationships grew, we decided to step up and do our part.
So when the university says, okay, we've got a prospect here, this is a guy with Michigan State roots, obviously he loves his school, and we've seen it with the baseball facility, we've seen it with football and basketball office complexes over there. How do they actually make the ask, and when do they know that the time is right to say, Gary, we need your help?
Well, first of all, they butter you up with a couple of Michigan State T-shirts, and then it kind of goes from there. I mean, certainly with Chuck, it was a gradual process. I was out in California at the time, and his son Luke was playing baseball at Stanford. And so Chuck would come out periodically and visit with Luke, and he and I would sit down for coffee, and he would give me an update on the status of the project and kind of the fundraising and just over time, he made sure I was comfortable with what I was donating. There was certainly no strong arming. It was just, whatever we could do and wanted to do. But again, it's a relationship game, and Chuck definitely invested the time.
And there are some tax advantages. I think certainly people who know how that game is played, and there are some things you can do. I was talking to Steve Smith about his donation, and originally it was $2.5 million for the Clarabelle Smith Student Athlete Academic Center, named after his mother, and now he has continued to give, and he's over $3 million. That he has provided. But he was talking about that and how the time has to be right and has to be beneficial for everyone.
Exactly right. Yeah. I mean, and this is an ideal time for prospective donors to step up. Everybody knows the stock market over the past year has done exceptionally well, and there's a bunch of people sitting on capital gains. And if you want to kind of not pay some of those capital gains taxes, you can donate the large capital gains stocks to a project like the Munn renovation, and avoid paying those, and have that money go all into that project rather than having to pay 50% or whatever it is.
So the new improved Munn, Gary. Can you talk about some of the highlights, some of the things that you are most excited to see? And a lot of times with facilities like this, there are naming rights. Are we going to see the Harpel shooting room or shot blocking facility, or what's that going to be?
Oh boy, there should be a shot blocking facility. That's a good one. That was my specialty. But yeah, what I'm most excited about is the weight room. I think having a state-of-the-art weight facility right there in Munn for the players to train, as well as there's a players' lounge where they can study together, they can eat together. It's going to be a great gathering place that'll not only nourish the body, but I think bring the team together as well. The hydro room where they're going to have
hydrotherapy.
Yeah, I mean all of that, and they've got a couple of shooting bays that we had a little trouble putting the puck in the net last year, so hopefully the shooting bays are going to be put to good use. So I think the whole thing, and the Hockey Hall of Fame is going to be phenomenal for the fans.
Yeah.
For everybody coming into Munn, there's a proper front door now.
Yes.
And it's going to be phenomenal. Great experience. I think the experience for the fans is going to be improved, and for the players. So really looking forward to it. Can't wait for it to be done.
We know what a difference it has made at Breslin with the Berkowitz Center and with the Izzo Hall of Champions over there. And we know what it's like over at Scandalaris Center for football with that museum and Paul Bunyan Trophy sitting over there in its rightful place. So we know what these things can do. You had a chance to play for two Hall of Fame coaches who won national championships, and I know you have the highest regard for Danton Cole. So what will something like this mean to recruits? And thinking back to your days, how much difference did facilities make in a choice?
Well, I think it's going to make a huge difference in recruits. I think we are losing recruits today who would love to come to Michigan State, elite players, elite students. But unfortunately, when you looked at Munn, where it was, the rinks that they were playing in junior hockey, some of them had better facilities than we had at Munn. Mm-hmm. This renovation is going to take us just all the way to where the elite programs are. So I think it's going to make a huge difference. In my case, I was a walk-on. They could have still been playing at Dem Hall, and I'd have been excited to play there. But the fact that it was Munn and it was brand new, that just added to the experience. And to have 6,500 fans there on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, what a place to play.
Gary, your wife Joanne, is she a Spartan?
She's not.
Okay.
But she's got to. We got to give her an honorary Spartan award or something.
I would think, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she's been amazing through all of this. We did send one of our daughters to Michigan State, and so Joanne's been to Michigan State quite a few times.
Yeah.
Loves the school. Our daughter actually met her fiance there.
Okay.
And they're going to get married next year. So we got a lot of green and white running through the family, and so she's part of it. Yeah.
Well, I didn't work in Silicon Valley, and I didn't have that kind of disposable income. And my wife is a Michigan State graduate twice. But I know if I had said to her, I'm thinking about making $1.5 million donation, I'd be sleeping in the garage. So she's either a really good sport or you convinced her that this was important.
I'm a pretty smooth talker. The fact that she married me, that's proof.
Yeah. You want to talk a little bit very quickly about your career, and now you're retired. But, you were an engineer out at top firms in the country in Northern California. Can you summarize that for us?
Well, just real quickly, I mean, I spent most of my career at a company called Sun Microsystems and got there in the fairly early days in the kind of late 80s and worked for them for, 20 years.
Right.
And then jumped to a couple of other startups. And the last one I was at is a company called Arista Networks.
Okay.
And Arista, I got there well before it went public, and then it did go public. And, now the rest is history. So it's been wonderful.
I can't wait to see you when you come in for a game. Maybe we can get together, and I look forward to that. Thanks so much for joining us. I want to thank all of our guests today. Carlton Valentine, talking about the NBA draft and much, much more. Tom Lang, The Long Drive, brought to you by Forest Acres and Golf MSU, and our guest Brian Stewart with the 2 top 10 finishes recently, and Brian Harris from Golf MSU, Desmond Ferguson, Mr. Moneyball, and Tim May from Letterman Row in Columbus. We'll see you tomorrow, everyone.